Martha Peterson couldn't muster an ounce of admiration for her grandson, Alex. It seemed a cruel twist of fate. What's more, he bore no resemblance to his mother, Irene, a fact that brought Martha a peculiar satisfaction. Her daughter, Irene, always left Martha feeling disappointed. With her plain looks, pale complexion, and distant gaze that mirrored her late father's, Irene seemed to embody Martha's greatest letdown. A heart attack had claimed Irene's father when she was just a year old. Despite Martha's relentless efforts and considerable spending, she couldn't transform the unremarkable girl into anything more than passably presentable. Makeup, hairstyling, and wardrobe upgrades did little to change Irene's plainness. Irene, you're simply not trying hard enough. There's no such thing as an ugly duckling. With dedication, anyone can transform themselves. It's all about confidence, taking care of yourself, and carrying yourself with poise. Yet, even in a stunning dress and with a fabulous hairstyle, you somehow managed to look like a kicked puppy. Martha's frustration was clear. Irene slumped further in her chair, eyes downcast, as if wishing to disappear completely. Finally, Martha conceded defeat. She realized she couldn't mold her daughter into anything remarkable. There was no inherent grace within her. It saddened Martha to think that no one would ever give such a plain girl a second glance. Irene would likely remain by her side until old age, forever invisible to the world. But life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. As Irene graduated from college, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. She found herself with a man. And not just any man, but the handsome Vlad from next door. What drew him to the unassuming Irene, shrouded in modesty, remained a mystery. Perhaps he had grown tired of flashy beauties, or maybe he simply craved something new. The romance, as expected, was short-lived. Irene emerged from it with a broken heart and a pregnancy. Vlad showed no interest in his former lover and soon moved away. Upon learning of her daughter's interesting condition, Martha refrained from yelling, cursing, or throwing dishes. Such behavior didn't befit a woman of her standing. She wouldn't stoop to that level. Instead, she fixed Irene with a disdainful look and pointed at her belly, saying, "I will never accept this. Don't expect any help from me either. I won't tolerate such carelessness." With that, she didn't storm out but retreated to her room, leaving her daughter to sob quietly alone. Throughout the pregnancy, Irene felt the silent pressure from her mother, Martha Peterson. Martha didn't resort to public scenes or outbursts. Instead, she silently tormented her daughter with disdainful looks, pursed lips, and a curt tone. Irene constantly carried the weight of guilt, feeling ostracized and unimportant. Yet she persevered. Perseverance had become her way of life. It was only towards the end of the pregnancy, when Martha seemed to grudgingly accept the inevitable, that their relationship became somewhat bearable, if not exactly warm. When Alex was born, Martha's heart finally softened, not towards her daughter, but towards her grandson. The boy emerged as a blue-eyed cherub, melting the stern facade of Martha's heart. In that moment, a fleeting thought crossed her mind. Irene doesn't look like Irene at all. Thank goodness for that. As Alex grew older, Martha showered him with increasing favoritism. Slavochka, in her eyes, deserved nothing but the best. Consequently, her daughter was forced to accommodate. By this time, Irene had risen to the position of chief accountant at a firm, earning a decent salary. While confidence might have been lacking, her skills and diligence more than compensated. However, Martha deemed it insufficient. "Irene, you have evenings and weekends free. You lack a social life, haven't even found a decent hobby. Consider, perhaps, taking on a part-time job. I've read that accountants often manage multiple companies, earning a substantial income. It would be advantageous for us." Martha didn't pose it as a question. It was an order. To an outsider, this monologue might appear as a request. But Irene knew her mother all too well. That's why she already handled the bookkeeping for 2 other small firms. Years passed. Alex enrolled in a prestigious program at a private university. Irene toiled relentlessly, her work consuming her weekends. Now, she could only steal moments for quick naps, her chest tightening with increasing frequency. Meanwhile, Alex indulged in every whim. More possessions, more free time, and a string of girlfriends. Yes, only girlfriends' relationships were fleeting and uncomplicated, like the short lives of butterflies. Alex wasn't interested in anything serious. While he enjoyed being admired, the idea of reciprocating feelings felt like a burden. Occasionally, Alex fancied himself in love. He even considered bringing his chosen companions home to meet his grandmother, not his mother. To Alex, his mother was a source of embarrassment, perpetually exhausted, with dark circles under her pale eyes, dressed in clothes that were out of style. Countless times he'd tried to give her advice about her appearance. Look at Grandma, always impeccable, polished, and confident, a true family leader. And you? What's with the baggy sweater and messy hair? Don't even get me started on your face. It's a disaster zone, he'd scold. Did you know makeup was invented a long time ago? I'm embarrassed to bring friends home, they'd have to meet you. Your appearance is shameful. Alex's criticisms were brutal. Initially, Irene tried to reason with her son. She explained the lack of time, the overwhelming workload. Her clothes. They were just for home, she argued. At the office, she dressed professionally in a suit and polished shoes. But Alex remained firm in his beliefs, convinced he was right. Eventually, Irene fell silent under his rebukes. Sometimes, she cried quietly. As her heart ached more frequently, Irene turned to medication for comfort. As Alex neared graduation from the university, a lucky and timely encounter fell into his lap. One day, a tall, distinguished middle-aged man approached him near the entrance. "Alex?" the stranger inquired. "Yes, and who might you be?" Alex eyed the man. "They say certain people radiate wealth. Well-dressed, poised, commanding, with piercing blue eyes." The man didn't play any games. He responded calmly, "My name is Vlad, and if I understand correctly, you are my son." Alex regarded him with curiosity, though not much. Then, Vlad continued, perhaps belatedly, "But I've decided to introduce myself to you. Would you mind?" Alex was all for it. He assessed the probable price of his newfound parents' clothes and noted the impressive car parked behind him. Oh, he certainly didn't mind. It's a stroke of luck when fortunate encounters happen at the right time. With graduation almost upon him, thoughts of job prospects loomed ahead. Maybe Dad could lend a hand with that. So, the young man extended his hand and said, "Well then, Dad, let's get acquainted." When Alex shared news of his encounter with his father at home, his grandmother's reaction was unsurprising. So, he finally decided to show his face. Better late than never, I suppose. You say he looks successful, and the car is impressive. Vlad seems to have grown up. Well, let's hope he can help his own son find a job. He probably doesn't have any other kids, hence the sudden interest, remarked his grandmother calmly. Meanwhile, Irene sat pale, nervously picking at the edge of the tablecloth. Then, she hesitantly asked, how did he recognize Alex? Why was he waiting for him? How did he know we still lived here? Her gaze darted to her mother, Martha Peterson, who remained unfazed. I told him. And I sent him a picture of Alex at his request, Martha admitted calmly. Don't think of me as the villain here. A man simply wanted to reconnect with his son. One can't hold a grudge forever. Besides, he's involved in business now. Alex could benefit from having such a father, she added, maintaining her composure. Irene rose from the table, visibly pale but determined. Alex had never seen such a look in his mother's eyes. However, her resolve crumbled quickly. She managed to utter, in an angry whisper, I will never forgive, before clutching her chest and collapsing to the floor. The ambulance arrived quickly, but Irene passed away on the way to the hospital. However, the tragic loss of his mother didn't hinder the burgeoning relationship between Alex and his newfound father, Vlad, who indeed had no other children. "Just couldn't find the time in my busy schedule," Vlad jokingly remarked to his son. Vlad offered Alex a job at his firm, giving him a solid start to his career. He even helped with a down payment on an apartment. After all, a young man couldn't live with his grandmother forever. They shared common interests and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. As Alex settled into his own place, his visits to Martha Peterson grew less frequent. She didn't hold any resentment, understanding his circumstances. "He's busy with work, maybe even starting a family. Why should he stay by my side?" she reasoned. Despite her understanding, she couldn't help but miss her beloved grandson dearly. With no one else to lavish her time and affection upon, Martha found herself alone. She hadn't cultivated any friendships, her distant demeanor acting as a barrier. Alex was her only remaining family left in the world. As time passed, Martha Peterson aged, a fact that sparked an interesting idea in Alex's mind. Recognizing that his grandmother lived alone, likely struggling with housework and battling loneliness in her empty apartment, Alex came up with what he thought was a solution, suggesting she move to a retirement community. There, she'd have companionship and receive care. With conviction, he stated, "You should consider moving to a retirement community." Martha Peterson was momentarily speechless. She hadn't anticipated such a suggestion from her grandson. Yet, she quickly regained her composure. "So, you've decided to put me away? To pack me off to a retirement home? I didn't expect this from you. But you won't succeed. I won't leave voluntarily, and legally, you can't force me out," she retorted disdainfully. It was important to put her arrogant grandson in his place. Alex was initially taken aback. Did his grandmother harbor some resentment towards him? After all, she had always followed his wishes, fulfilling them without complaint. "Then I'll stop visiting you. You'll be left alone, with only the TV for company." His childish attempt at blackmail echoed in the room. His grandmother's cold smile was telling, "You're right. And it's my choice to leave the apartment to the state upon my passing. So perhaps you should reconsider your position." Martha Peterson's stern gaze fixed on her grandson. Alex realized he couldn't outmaneuver his grandmother, at least not yet. Thus, he apologized, claiming he had only her best interest at heart and had no intention of abandoning her. It had been a poor judgment call. Martha Peterson accepted the apology, though with doubt. Despite her reservations, she couldn't hold a grudge against her beloved and only grandson forever. And so, they continued to coexist. Alex made occasional visits to his grandmother, ensuring he didn't risk losing the apartment. Martha Peterson understood her grandson's motives, recognizing that his attentiveness stemmed from self-interest. Yet, she chose to ignore such thoughts. Even the strongest of individuals, like a formidable matriarch, feared the prospect of utter solitude. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more awesome stories in the future. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, and we'll see you next video.